Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. The courtroom shook today, not with shouting, not with violence, but with the quiet, devastating power of truth. And it came from one of Hollywood's most unlikely whistleblowers, Blake Lively. Known around the world as a beloved actress and the wife of Ryan Reynolds, she walked into that Manhattan federal courthouse not to dazzle the public with celebrity charm, but to deliver one of the most calculated, researched, and bold testimonies this case has ever seen. At the center of the storm stood Diddy, the music mogul already drowning in allegations, but nothing prepared him for what was coming. When Blake Lively walked in, the entire courtroom fell silent. Even the judge appeared visibly stunned. She wasn't just another witness, she was the witness that turned the entire case upside down. Diddy had weathered days of accusations, some damaging, some even explosive, but he had stayed calm, composed. Until now. Blake didn't look his way. She wasn't there for theatrics. She was there with documents, financial statements, investigative reports, and a story of deliberate sabotage that had been hidden behind layers of shell companies, legal paperwork, and power plays. This wasn't tabloid gossip. This was a blueprint of how Diddy's empire allegedly used legal systems as tools of destruction. Her testimony wasn't about rumors. It was about numbers, timelines, connections. She claimed that her beverage company, Betty Buzz, had been the target of a coordinated legal assault, masked as simple trademark disputes, but orchestrated from behind the scenes by none other than Diddy's own business entities. When she began detailing how shell companies filed lawsuits only weeks after forming, how financial records traced directly back to Diddy's enterprises, the impact was immediate. Jurors exchanged glances, attorneys froze, and Diddy leaned forward, his face pale. But it didn't stop there. Blake revealed that after refusing to sell her company under pressure, the attacks escalated. New lawsuits emerged, regulatory challenges came out of nowhere. Even her charitable projects began facing bizarre bureaucratic blocks. Every direction she turned, she was being cornered. And then the message. A text from an unlisted number. It didn't threaten violence. It offered resolution, but only if she agreed to partner with a very specific network, one that she later confirmed through investigators had deep ties to Diddy's investment firm. As she laid out these findings before the courtroom grew colder, more tense. The judge leaned forward. Diddy's lawyers began whispering frantically. And then, the collapse. Mid-testimony, Diddy's head dropped. His hand trembled. He swayed in his seat. And moments later, the man who once commanded stages around the world was on the courtroom floor, unconscious. Paramedics rushed in. The judge called for an emergency recess. And for the first time in this trial, the mask of confidence cracked. But when court resumed the next day, with Diddy absent due to medical reasons, Blake returned. And she wasn't done. She presented a detailed map of interconnected shell companies, all targeting female-led beverage startups, most of which had either folded or sold their businesses under pressure. Her evidence pointed to a systematic strategy: use legal intimidation to force a sale, and then quietly absorb the competition. In 7 documented cases, Blake's team showed how companies ended up in the hands of investment groups linked to Diddy's business network, all following the same pattern she had experienced. This wasn't just about Betty Buzz. It was about a hidden machine working quietly behind the scenes to control markets, remove competition, and maintain dominance under the guise of legal process. Her evidence included financial flowcharts, subpoenaed emails, and transcripts of recorded calls with intermediaries who made veiled offers and warnings. At one point, she revealed photographs taken of her during private business meetings, sent anonymously to her office, with no threats, just a chilling message. We see you. This wasn't just legal pressure. This was surveillance, manipulation, and psychological warfare. She described how female entrepreneurs, especially women of color, had been disproportionately targeted, their businesses challenged legally within months of success or major funding. Many couldn't afford to fight back. Some were forced to sell, others simply closed their doors. And in the aftermath, familiar names appeared in ownership papers, names that all traced back to Diddy's network. By the time Blake finished her testimony, the silence in the courtroom was deafening. Not because her voice was loud, but because her evidence was undeniable. Financial analysts began connecting the dots. News outlets shifted tone. Legal experts started questioning whether this was simply trademark litigation or something much darker. Blake explained that once her team compiled the data, they'd taken it straight to federal investigators, who were already looking into similar patterns. And that's when everything snapped into place. Her evidence didn't just support the case, it expanded it. What began as a trial focused on specific criminal charges against Diddy was now ballooning into potential racketeering, a network of shell companies, investment fronts, and legal puppets being used to target and control industries from the inside. After her final day on the stand, Blake didn't talk to the press. She didn't pose for cameras. She left quietly. Her job done. But outside, the shockwaves were just beginning. Business publications published detailed analyses of the same shell structures Blake had exposed. Intellectual property lawyers launched internal reviews. Several law firms realized they may have unknowingly represented different sides of the same hidden client. And on social media, the hashtag Hidden Hands began trending as other entrepreneurs came forward with eerily similar stories. Venture capitalists responded by creating legal defense funds specifically for female founders facing sudden lawsuits. And in the beverage industry, analysts noted a suspicious pattern of company failures followed by quiet acquisitions. Blake Lively didn't just testify. She exposed a system. And though Diddy was absent in court, his empty chair stood as a symbol not of defeat, but of exposure. The empire he had built on influence, intimidation, and obscured ownership was now under a microscope. As for what comes next, that's still unfolding.